And we're live. Alrighty. So something I've been noticing about the timeline, and it's everything repeats. Society never learns their lesson. Twitter never learns its lesson. They just repeat the same stuff that the last year of people weighing in on stuff repeat, and then and they just never seem to get it. So I'm seeing a hole in understanding of female nature, and also more importantly feminism. It doesn't seem to me that anyone knows what the fuck feminism is. Like they have no idea. To them, here's what I think it is. Like it's some room where women go to get brainwashed, where like women go, they get brainwashed in this room, and they have like cathodes attached to electrodes attached to their brain, and some kind of device that tells them you hate men now, you don't want to get married, whatever. And then they leave the room, and that's like conceptualizing what people think feminism is. So
The great
yeah.
cabal of man haters is programming all women worldwide to hate men, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and we all know why they think that, right? It's feminism within itself, because they can't conceptualize that women have agency and women make decisions, and also that women are hypergamous. That means like they don't need us anymore for our, what was a
For our
quote? Like
money.
they don't need our bacon. We don't need to bring home the bacon. They can go to the store and it's like $3.99. So
Yep, bacon's $3.99 in the supermarket. No, feminism, it's three things. In its application, it's a strategy. In in its purest form, it's Marxism in a dress. It really is. It's like oppressor and oppressed. And it's a boogeyman for guys, where it's like, oh, feminism ruined women and it's all feminism's fault. No, it's a strategy applied by women, um, abusing men's innate protect urge to protect. Children crying, dogs yelping, women demanding more. Every man is susceptible to that, and men want to give women what they want because we like women and we want what's between their legs. We want to sleep with them. Therefore, we think, oh, women want something. We give women the thing they want. Therefore, she will sleep with me. Horrible strategy, but a lot of guys think think it works.
oh, she'll shut up, or she'll just shut up, and you can
Now,
go back to doing, yeah.
the third thing it slipped my mind, but now I remember, is a shit test. What's the most powerful word in a man's vocabulary?
No.
Thank you. That's what it is. A woman is on a date and whatever, it's like, "Oh, I'm a strong, independent feminist." The only thing you have to say is, "That's cute, dear." "Oh, nice of you." "Oh, how's that working out?" Not even go that far. That's more between us. But if she brings that up on a date, like, "I'm a feminist, are you?" It's like, "Sure, sure, honey. Sure." You don't fight her on
Yeah.
it. You don't argue with her. It is a test to see if you can play ball. It really is. Now,
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to ask you this
go
as a
ahead.
side note. Damn, I almost forgot. Uh, so you say it's a test, and and men fail it all the time, right? Because women keep demanding, and men keep thinking, oh, if at some point women will be happy, women will like get on board with us and our mission to make life better for them.
They won't.
Uh, yeah, but I think I just lost the question. I'll come back to you. Sorry. Keep going. Sorry.
No, 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 that's okay. Like, it's a societal shit test on scale, Like, we want the vote, we want to work, things like that. Though you could go into the theory that women in the workforce was nothing more than a scam to get more taxpayers. Could be. Huge advocate of it, but that's not for today. Right now, what you see in the West, women really don't have anything to complain about. They are the most privileged demographic known to the world. Western women, black, white, Asian, whatever. They are. Women as a whole, the most privileged
Yeah.
demographic of the world. Yet, what do they want? More, more, and more. And what do women or what do men, come hell or high water, try to do? Is give it to them.
Give it to them. And not only give it to them, but at the cost of themselves, their life, their goals, and other men's goals, dreams, and economic prosperity. You guys have no idea. Well, you guys do, but figure of speech. You guys have no idea what a man is willing to do for female validation. If I saw swaths of men trying to get laid and thinking if I build a girl house, I get laid, at least there's an honest goal. And it's stupid, but at least in that they'll figure out. But the thing is, they're not even doing it for that. They're doing it for female approval and
I
validation.
know. I know.
That's men's biggest addiction. It isn't pornography. It isn't video games. It isn't weed or drugs or anything. Men's biggest addiction is mommy happy. And this kind of shit is what was making life so hard for us. You can't afford it. I don't want to be the guy to be like blame women for everything, right? But the reason you can't afford a house, the reason a lot of people can't take trains at night in their own country is because men were like, how do I make mommy happy? And here we are.
Well, exactly. And also the counter argument is always like, oh, the first and second wave of feminism were great. It's the third and fourth one. Bullshit. All of them had the same structure. All of them were exactly the same. It all was women wanting more, women appealing to men's innate urge to protect, and a strategy to move higher up in the world. The first, second, third, and fourth, they're all the same, different climate. But at the end of the day, it was nothing more than women wanting more than men had because they think that they are oppressed by men. Where it's like, oh, we want the right to vote. If you look back on this, not even every man had the right to vote.
And that's what you have to bring up to the guys that are like really think that women were oppressed. Like, listen,
They weren't.
men and women were oppressed together. It wasn't like, Farmer John went out to the pastures and chilled and played, Farm Simulator 1 when it came out and came home. And the woman was working. Yeah, both of them were like trying to survive. And that's why men and women got together, was to help each other survive and have kids and pass on. And then the kids would even try to survive. And it's just like men and women, we've always suffered together. It's just not till recently where women don't have to suffer. And all of a sudden they think, I want the life of a 1% man, not the regular man. I want a better life. And then they look at it as, because you don't deliver me this, society, then I'm oppressed and it's your fault. Work on it. And guys would be like, okay. And
that's where the shit test part comes from, right? I mean, we know this. What's the you already said, the word no. Like, I want this, I want that. How about no? Yet on a societal level, since blue pill conditioning is the norm, guys go bend over backwards. That's the one I was looking for, to give women what they want. And what do they get in return? Oppression.
Rolo Tomasi. That's what they get in return.
What? That's what they get.
I think you're muted, or is it me?
I think he is muted.
I think it's me.
No, I can't hear him either.
Oh boy, the feminists got him.
Uh-oh.
All right, finish your thought, Jack.
That was kind of my thought. Like, on a societal level, it has become one giant shit test, and men failed as a collective. They absolutely did. Speaking of men as a collective,
what is going on, motherfuckers?
Yeah, man, the IQ got really high all of a sudden.
That's because of
Jack,
this guy next to me. Where's my head?
There he is. Now I hear
it. That's where the IQ is, right over there.
I had to change it. Yeah, I just had to change audio inputs.
There we
go. We were just talking about feminism, how everyone thinks it's some kind of like chamber in a university where women go to get brainwashed into like not liking men and demanding all this stuff, but it's not really the truth. But that's what, they need a boogeyman. So of course,
Right. I don't know if you guys are like, well, I don't know about Jack, because Jack spends a lot of time on Substack now, but on Twitter, man, there's just, I forget it was what Steve Bartlett's Diary of the CEO, right? That's the title. Mm-hmm. He was on there with some chick, and I don't even know who this. I've seen her making the rounds. I have no idea what her name is. So she's a psychologist, I guess, or sociologist or some shit like that. And they're, of course, the topic du jour of like podcasts today. Of course, they're red pill without being red pill, right? You know, it's like they're like, we're going to talk about men's issues, but we're not like that. Those weirdos over there, right? But it's to the point where like what was it, the epidemic of male loneliness, right? Or men are doing worse than women these days. Let's talk about Scott Galloway and Oprah Winfrey. Let's talk about it today. It's like they're talking about the shit that we've been talking about for 22 fucking years right now, and they're making it sound like it happened half an hour ago, you know. And I'm like, and so when I see this shit, it's like. It's funny to see now because it's been building up, I think, over the last like maybe 6 months, because Scott Galloway was making these rounds on like Chris Williamson's show, Steve Stewart Williams show, or
Oprah
Bartlett, Oprah, Steve Bartlett show. I want to say Tom Bialu too. I'm not sure. It's funny because Tom Bialu does like Scott Galloway, but Tom Bialu's wife does like these whack job guys, you know, like she's the crazy one and he's like sort of the more, you know, grounded one. Still won't have us on. And then anyways, the point I'm making is that like these topics are so unignorable right now that everybody's going, well, I guess we better talk about them because that's good. It's content fodder. It's easy. It's cheap content for them to do. And so this chick was talking about like just the, you know, how men are, you know, lack purpose. It's nothing that Jordan Peterson hasn't said since 2018 or 2017, right? And
yeah, the go-to. Men are suffering. Great. Thanks.
They're not suffering. If you ask me, they need to die. That's
good.
So they did this one clip, like this one guy, his name, I follow him, and it goes by Camus or something like that. But he puts this, it's been making the rounds on Twitter. And if you look at I should go dig it up. If you look at the responses, the reactions from women in that thread, oh my God. It's like, they can't hang you quicker. They can't like put you in the gas. Like, oh, can we find some assisted suicide for these guys? Because they're not leaving the planet Earth quick enough for us, right?
They're not lonely enough.
I know. And so then when I go, well, then I just like retweet it and I go, I quote Cappy, women just hate men. It's simple as that. That's what it is.
Yeah.
We hate fucking men. And do I think that? No. But if all you had to go on was the thread, and there's a lot, I mean, like hundreds, 500 some odd comments on that thread. If you just went by that thread, you could not draw any other conclusion that like men are dying and they can't die quick enough.
If aliens came to Twitter, that would be the conclusion they draw.
Yeah. Die quickly, you know, die and
Don't do it while bothering me, please. Do it there.
Or it's enslavement. Well, if men were like more interested in their own selves and they didn't like put their, you know, they didn't get their validation from women, instead of like trying to turn us into, what was it, a sex doll, a housekeeper and whatever else, you know, like they're trying to like basically reiterating the same bullshit lines about how men just want women to be their underlings and their slaves and their chattel, right? And I'm like, this is the same bullshit we've been listening to since like 1968, like 1960, you know, or some 1970s. This is Gloria Steinem shit, right? This is like, you know, Betty Friedan shit. And I bet 90% of the chicks that are responding to this don't even know where the words coming out of their mouth originated from. And it's just this
programmed.
What's funny to me is like, if you saw similar responses from the red pill community, where like, fuck women, we don't want them to, you know, if it was just that same level of vitriol coming from men, you would go to jail for that. You would get banned for that. But it's okay if the woman if the woman is upset about guys. This is the condition of men. It's unbelievable. I thought what was funny is like, when I look at, you know, if Scott Galloway is just like about as, you know, stout as, you know, fucking French toast, but he's just like, and what kills me is like, this is the guy that they're going to. And I was like talking to Mike about this not too long ago. It's like, you guys remember after Trump took office, the first thing that like MSNBC and the rest of these guys were doing, like the liberal media started doing, is they had these think tanks, right? They had these shows getting together going, why did we lose this election? You know, how do we lose? How could we possibly have lost?
They compared Hulk Hogan to Tim Walz. Look what Tim Walz just did.
Yeah. Well, so they get these roundtable discussions on like CNN or something like that. And like, it's the manosphere. what's the manosphere? Tell us about the manosphere. And they're like, well, the reason that we failed is because we don't have like podcast celebrities or influencer celebrities like Joe Rogan. I'm like, Joe Rogan is anything but red pill. Was it Theo Vaughn? Theo Vaughn is definitely not red pill.
Theo Vaughn's high all the time. He doesn't even know where he's at.
or Jordan Peterson. I'm like, Jordan Peterson is in various states of like,
consciousness.
Like he's in various states of like he's in a rehab. That he's in and out of rehab so much. Like these are not people that you need to be worried about. But then like what's that? Like Kamala Harris mentions Myron and Tate, as the reasons why she lost the election, and it's just they can't ignore it. They know that there's something going on. So I think honestly, like the popularity of Galloway is due primarily to them trying to find an internet celebrity, or turn him into an internet influencer that will like speak they'll address the male issues. Like he tries to. It's all bullshit. Yeah. His solutions are all bullshit, but and it's nothing that anybody hasn't heard already, but it's so funny. God. Like he was on Oprah Winfrey and he was talking to he had some chick that was asking him questions about like, how come I can't I get this all the time. Like, how come I can't find a good guy? She's like probably like 32, 34, somewhere around there. And probably about 20 to 30 pounds overweight. And she's like, I can't find a guy. I can't, or if I find a guy, he's just not good quality and blah, blah, blah. And guys need to like up their game. And he's like, yeah, you're right. Men need to really up their game and everything else. And stuff. I can't find a guy. So he just like sympathizes with this chick. And then 30 minutes, not even that, like 20 minutes later, he's addressing a guy in the audience. And the guy is like, well, where do you find women? How come women don't respond to me? Blah, blah, blah. He goes, and so what his question was like, he asked the guy, he says, would you fuck you? Essentially is what it is. Like, would you want to date you? Like go put on some deodorant and get a new t-shirt and, wash your hair, like all this basic bullshit. And basically telling him to up his game and to get to the gym and to, but the funny thing is like his question was, would you date you? Would you fuck you? He says it to the guy, but to the overweight chick he just addressed 20 minutes ago, he didn't say, why don't you lose 30 fucking pounds, you fat pig? He doesn't say that.
Cancel. That would immediately cancel everything.
It would have been true.
Which, by the way, would end all worries and would solve her problems instantaneously if she would just get to the gym, get a personal trainer, go on Ozempic, whatever the fuck it is. Like up your game physically and
skip Starbucks in the morning.
Guys will be interested in you suddenly. You have more options with more guys. If you do that, never does that come out of his mouth. It only comes out of his mouth for guys. And that's the problem with Scott Galloway.
And the Scott Galloway thing with Oprah was mostly that it was masculinity through the approval lens of women. That's what it was. It's like, this is masculinity approved by the feminine. And that's how we approached it. That's why Oprah was there. Like,
that's why traditional.
Let's see if he keeps in line,
And that's why traditional conservatives are feminists, just as feminist as everyone else. They'll say feminism is bad, blah, blah, but then they'll list, this is what a real man is, a guy that provides, a guy that lets his woman servant leader bullshit. And I'm like, you guys are the same. It's the same shit. It's just repackaged.
Women. They only push women forward. Why is Pam Bondi still there? I'm not even an American, and I know that. Like, why is she still there? She does nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think
talking about their tits on the Congress floor. Like someone showed me my tits. I'm like, the country, like people are trying to afford houses. Why is your tits the most important thing right now?
That Red Hawk tweet just showed them already, and not 2 months later, she's like, "I will show my nudes on Congress floor to show you what happened," and it was the most horrible thing ever. It's like, come on, man.
It's just I don't know if this is me. I'm spitballing here. This is pure speculation. But I think a lot of the shit that's going down in Minnesota right now, and a lot of the sort of this groundswell of, well, we need to take up arms against ICE, and it's just all of this like anti, conservative shit that's coming. I remember Minnesota is probably like the ground zero for all this. But I'm gonna say I'm speculating here, and this might be conspiracy theory, Rolo, but I'm thinking that a lot of that is filtering its way into Twitter and social media right now, and that's why you get that response. Some of these might be bots. The chicks that are on there talking, oh, whoa, men have always classically repressed women and oppression, and it's like statistically and reality wise, it's complete bullshit. But it sounds truthy. Right. It just sounds truthy. And no one's going to like ask them, okay, give me some sources. No one's going to ask a chick for sources because they know that to do so means you're going to get into this long ass debate with this chick. But it's always, well, if men were less violent, then we wouldn't have to worry about it. If we could feel safe walking down the street, if we could walk to our cars in a parking lot, across a college campus, then we wouldn't have to worry about this shit. Like same shit over and over again. And I'm wondering that if the volume and the frequency of these responses isn't sort of a direct correlation or direct, extension, let's just say, of sort of the sentiment that's coming out of like Minnesota, or just like even just the idea, like you don't have to live in Minnesota, obviously, but if you're like sympathize with that shit and you're online, that's going to come out of you because they think, okay, now it's safe. Now it's okay to hate guys. Fuck you guys. ICE are all red pill MAGA guys. That's okay.
Can we point out the irony though of the men they're protecting and the men they're trying to save them? Where it's like, I wonder which men won't allow you to walk alone at night.
I know. I love it when they're like, well, we need to fight for our rights. I'm like, you mean the rights that will be enforced by the capacity of violence that men have? Like that's you really want to fight for your rights? Okay, go ahead, fight for your rights.
How's Iran doing with that, by the way?
Yeah,
fighting for their rights.
I don't know, man. Every now and then, like you don't hear much coming out of Iran. I know that there was like some mass protests and stuff like that going on, but like every time there's a mass protest in Iran, like it comes out for the first week and then you don't hear anything else about it. And then it's back to business as usual, and it's because they killed all those motherfuckers.
Yeah,
that is exactly what happens over there.
Yeah, they cut the internet and they got rid of the protesters, and then they put the internet back on. It's like, Asman covered a couple of those things.
There's all this everyone is using this stuff for some form of psyops to fit their needs. It's a lot of competing psyops, right? And just in the third world, they'll just kill you and then put out their propaganda. They just do it a little bit different.
You're gone. Yeah, they just turn off the lights and you're gone, and they turn them back on and you're not there anymore.
Yeah. I mean, but that's it. I mean, that to me, I don't know. I just want to know what you guys think, but I feel like that's all this shit is anyway. It's just feminism when it first started was a psyop to get women into the workforce, because guys were being conscripted to war in World War II and they needed people to work, manufacturing and stuff like that. So then they use, not that feminism didn't exist before that, but it's like, they just say, okay, well, we can use this. Like somebody with interests, government positions, money says, well, how can we steer the public persona narrative to suit what we want? And so this feminism thing, and we could empower these women, tell them to get to work, so that's how it started, right?
What's the white feather movement? That was feminism too, right? The white feather movement. The white feather movement, that was feminism too, right? Where they shaped men into war.
Not sure on that.
You gotta so the white feather movement.
Yeah, whatever.
Well,
you know what I mean.
It was basic. Yeah, I know. It was basically let's kill guys. No, it's you got to remember that happened before the ratification of the 19th Amendment. So that was because you remember that white feather movement would have been right around 1912, 1913, somewhere in there, like right before World War I.
Oh, all right.
And then or it might have been during World War I. It might have been like 1914 or something like that. But it was well before there were votes for women, right? And so you kind of have to, if you put the white feather movement in with like the suffragettes and you put it in with, what passed for feminism back then, because they didn't call it feminism back then. It is, but that they didn't call it was the suffragettes, right? But if you look at the white feather movement from the World War I era, it was essentially an extension of the same terrorism that the suffragettes had been like. I mean, they were considered terrorists from 1850 all the way up until they got the right to vote, right? bombing police precincts, plotting assassinations and stuff like that. And this was just one more, one more program that was associated at least with the suffragette movement at that time. And so when you point stuff out like that and you go, well, it appears to me, like, it changed my mind, but it appears to me that feminism is a hate movement, or a female supremacism movement. And if you look at the sort of the luminaries of feminism, it's like, we need to destroy the family, we need to destroy men, we need to destroy.
And that's why I brought up the white feather movement
right after the white feather movement.
That's why I brought it up, because that was nothing more to get men in a war, to get men to die. It's socially shaming men into sacrifice. That's what it was. It had nothing to do with beating, who were they fighting? Europe, of course. But it had nothing to do with that. It was just shaming men into submission.
Yeah. Well, and that's all this is now. I mean, we're doing the same thing. We're doing
Most
the same
propaganda
thing now,
really is.
Like, check out the marketplace, buy a sex doll, get on the internet, check out women check out from having relationships with men unless they're meeting your checklist. You know what I mean? And everyone's gonna move to AI girlfriends and boyfriends and sex dolls. So that's where we're going.
Yeah.
It seems like
AI boyfriends. AI boyfriends is decimating women right now. Like,
dude, this is a real thing, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, like, we thought it was like men with the sex doll. We thought it was men with the sex dolls, but it's us, or sorry, it's the AI boyfriends.
Well,
they're like women. Yeah, they're like in therapy because they really are falling in love with the AI because they're agreeable. They just
why I brought up the meme, by the way, because I brought up this meme real quick. Is remember what I said about feminism being a shit test? That meme just embodies it perfectly. You got this blue-haired chick, nose ring, everything, listening to her feminist
I have the wrong one up.
Oh,
there we go.
Listening to her feminist propaganda, being brainwashed the entire day. Yet, who does she go to at night? The guy who tells her no and plows her head into the pillow. Guys, women can say whatever they want. At the end of the day, when you tell them no and you just do your thing, you're gonna be fine. And
I mean, it's what did Royce say back in the day? It was like, women want to, like, even the most ardent feminist wants to submit herself to a worthy man's direction, right?
I mean, look at the books.
Yeah,
you guys.
Well, I mean,
it's kind of crass to say it like this, but every now and then they're kind of like horses. You have to break them in, Well, it sounds crass, but you know what I mean.
Was like Mike was saying, we were talking about like 50 Shades of Grey, right? Like, and I look at it from the statistical perspective, because if you read my book, Religion, my fourth book, I go into like all the details and all the stats regarding 50 Shades of Grey, right? So 50 Shades of Grey came out, I want to say, in 2013, and it came out in March of 2013, and it was self-published. Okay, so it's not like Simon and Schuster or Penguin or Harlequin Romances or something. Like, this is just like Amazon, like you or I do, like anybody, like me and Jack do, and just through word of mouth, it sold 65 million units in the first month that it was available, and then by the end of the year, it was in the hundreds of millions of years, and no advertising, just strictly word of mouth. And then 2014, the trailer, summer of 2014, the trailer for the movie adaptation came out on YouTube. It was to this day, I believe it is still the most downloaded, most viewed trailer on YouTube in all of history.
Wow.
Right? Damn. It's more than the Star Wars movie.
So higher than Avengers?
When you hold up, well, I mean, maybe not Endgame now, but like certainly back then it was. But the very fact that those are the stat, like they're numbers. That's quantitative measurement. That's not they're not asking your opinion on it. It's not qualitative. This is like the real shit right here. So what does that tell you about female nature? And then Mike's like, it is the most unbelievable plot line I've ever read, because it's like the guy is this, multi-million-dollar, industrialist, whatever. And he's got a sex dungeon, and she's the only one who's ever been in there. You're the only one for a woman just like you. Get the fuck out.
Oh, yeah, I built this just for you.
It's like women treat men, right? Like, I never do this. I usually never do this. You're the first guy I do this with. Right. Sure, babe. The first guy.
So
plausible deniability.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to sleep tonight. Sure.
So let's talk about this AI thing a little bit, right? Because I find that fascinating. Because I'm a fucking guy who, I feel like I just came out of a cave and learned what technology was a few years ago.
Well, you look like
I'm an
one.
idiot, and I look like it. So I mean, it's exactly computers.
Nuke, put up that stat real quick, just so I can get that and clear that out. The one I gave you.
Hold on. This is weird. Okay, I think I got it. There you go.
I got this from
Blow
Steve.
this up so I can
Steve
see.
Stewart Williams has an upcoming book that's coming out in June, right? I think this is part of it. But like, contrary to popular belief, the period of human history when men could vote but women couldn't vote was relatively brief, because for most of human history, no one could vote. And
brought it up,
not anyone. So if you look at that little mid section right there, with the light blue, that's from like about the 1850s till 1920. That's when women couldn't vote. And this is like worldwide. Okay. So like in the United States, women could vote right around 1920. And then from there all the way up to where we're at right now, it's been nothing but women voting as well. So when women say, well, men could vote all the time, and women, no, for the most part, men and women were
Couldn't
both
vote.
pressed at the same time. It's called monarchy and dictatorship and tyranny and everything else. But by a feminist standard, they would have you believe that men were the ones who could do anything they wanted to, and women didn't have a right to vote or say anything. The thing is like democratic representation was never a thing, even for men at that time. So it kind of just ruins that whole mythology about like men only voting rights.
We suffered together. Yeah, we always suffered together. Men and women always suffered together. Obviously, we suffer in different ways, but yeah, women would die in childbirth and men would die in war. Like that's what it was.
Yep.
It's the greatest lie told today, where it's like, oh, women were oppressed. No, bitch. All of us were. If you didn't have money, you weren't shit.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You were a concubine for a king.
Now.
Of course, then they'll go, well, the kings were all male.
Yeah.
One dude? Yeah, okay, you're right. One dude, all right.
Queens were all
Genghis
women.
Khan.
Got me. Yeah.
It's Genghis Khan's fault,
Yeah.
What were you saying about AI, Apex?
Yeah, no, I find it fascinating, and I don't know, troubling. But then again, I'm also somebody who's always like looking at a circumstance and figuring out, okay, well, how can I use this to my advantage? Like, how can I win, right? Or how can I help other guys win? But it's like, to me, I think, and I'm wondering your guys' opinions, but I don't know. I'm like good at certain things, but I don't necessarily consider myself an expert on, socio-political commentary or anything like that. Right. But like, it feels to me like, or seems to me like, the fifth wave of feminism is just an epidemic of loneliness, both for men and women escaping to technology. That's what it seems like to me, like that. If there's going to be a fifth wave, that's it, where men get replaced by technology. Men, of course, are replacing women by technology and escaping to technological stimulus for their reproductive needs, you know what I mean? And bonding needs, right? And women falling to AI is more like, it's just like how they're addicted to social media, right? It's attention. And so they can get addicted to an AI platform, even just something simple like ChatGPT, that validates them, and that continues to give them validation, attention. You use AI, right? Because the goal of the app is to keep you on the app. So they're always like really positive, and then like, well, if you want, I could do this for you, that for you, that for you. You know what I mean? It gives you like 3 options of what it could do for you after you ask a question. And I could see how for women that would be really addictive, because they have that constant need for attention. And then of course for men, it's sexual access. So that's where you get into, not that women won't get sex dolls too, but men will be the sex dolls pornography. Women will be the constant validation and attention from, AI boyfriends, and even just regular chat, Chat GPT or whatever, Gemini, But anyways, that's my thought. I was wondering what you guys think.
I mean, look at Parallel Live. Like the guy that goes out and pretends to be a famous influencer has the all the comments.
His name is Ethan. We just had him on Access Vegas.
Ethan Kaiser, I think his name is. And the girls come up, they kiss him, they give him a number. He has fake super chats. He's like, oh, thanks to you, I got $20. And the women feel validated. They're like, oh, I'm pretty, so much so that people are super chatting this guy and they get their validation. But it's all like, I think it's smoke and mirrors, because
Yeah.
I mean, you could play video games all you want, but you're never gonna get the same satisfaction as like saving the company millions of dollars one day, or getting promoted. Like, I love video games, but it's never gonna be the same
Right.
as going out and either feeling the sting of rejection, or getting with a hottie in real life is never gonna porn is never gonna replace that.
No, never. Yeah. For a certain subset of guys, though. So it's like it's taking out that bottom 1/3 of dudes who just are missing something in their psychological resiliency or whatever, and they find that escape. You know what I mean? And then
I
but
will
yeah.
I will add, though, Apex, that like the sad thing about this feminism stuff is that no matter what happens, men that get it, men with game, men with money, men with
Yep.
status are the ones that benefit the most, not women.
100%.
Because now if you figure it out, right? If you're an attractive man, you're no longer assigned one wife. You are assigned as many as you want, as long as you're smart.
What's
Yeah.
that?
And they're on birth control. Now you get to have a lot of sex, and you don't have to worry about getting women pregnant anymore that much, at least not that much. And and this is the sad part. You see these women, what do they complain about? Especially the East Asia and South Asia accounts bullshit, right? On Twitter. It's like, why are men like this? Why can't men why do men cheat? Why can't men settle down? I'm like, well, this is part of the feminism thing, is that you have to share men now, because the contract is broken, and now you have to share a guy. And trust me, he knows his worth now, because he no longer is assigned one wife when he turns 20. He is 33, hitting his stride in life, and now he has 3 women, and maybe one of them doesn't care, just wants to hook up, but those women too have to fight for his attention, because he's smart enough to position himself correctly. So
Is that Ben
using
Hur
AI as well?
Yeah,
That's Ethan
Ben Hur
Kaiser. That's what Ethan Kaiser does. He's just like, all right, what is feminism giving me? I'm going to make an app using technology, the same technology that companies use for Tinder and Instagram and all that stuff, and use it for myself. And now everywhere I go, I have my pick of the litter and pretend to be an influencer. And women don't like that, because at the end of the day, feminism was supposed to be for women's benefit only, but guys have figured it out, have gamed the system, and they focus all their energy on those guys, and they complain and they bitch, and they still end up in their bedroom.
Love or hate Andrew Tate, but he was right when he said feminism gave men the greatest thing in the world, hoes. And he wasn't wrong. By the way, is that Ben Hur with the Arabian guy, where it's like one wife, one God I can understand, but one wife? That's absurd.
Yeah, I was going to say is that like we had Ethan on Access Vegas 2 episodes ago, and we showed some of the videos of him going around like these parties with the cell phone, and like saying, hey, I'm a live streamer, and he's got like 30,000 people like watching and all this stuff. And like, it's funny to me, like there's like, if you asked a woman like who won the Battle of the Bulge, right? If you asked a woman like some sort of like historical kind of, they wouldn't know it. They can't even name 3 countries on Fresh and Fit, right? But when they look at a live stream, the first thing they do is they look, okay, what is this? What's the app? Where's it? Oh, where's the follower count? Is he important? And how many people are watching this stream? They know exactly what to look for on those, because it's important for them to know that. It's not important for them to know, random bullshit like guys know, but they do know that. And that's really what he picked up on when he was building the Parallel Live app right there. And all he has to do is go and walk it around a party, and the women would like just jump in front. Like, it's all bullshit. It's all, there's nobody watching, but the chicks don't care, because it gives them the illusion, the perception that he's actually an important guy. What happens? Then the girls go and they tell their boyfriends at the tables at the bottom, wherever they are in the club or something like that. And they ask that guy to come over and hang out with them, because he seems like he's important. He seems like he's some influencer we've never heard of before. Come and drink for free and like fuck our host, because we want to have you there. And so my question was, like, I get that chicks are going to be sort of deceived by the perception of this, but how many dudes go along with it?
Oh, for sure.
Because the girls are deceived, and they don't know any different, because the guys are going to be like, oh yeah, I know this dude, he's been on Fresh and Fit, or he's been on Access Vegas, or what. Now they know him well enough to know that it's bullshit, because his reputation kind of precedes him. Now they know who Ethan is, a Parallel Life guy, and the jig is up. Like, people, like women are wise to the fact that it can be fake now, but back then they couldn't. And I asked him, I said, how many guys are actually faked out by the. I mean, even still today, I'm sure like you could go certain places and it would still work, but not as much as it did when it first came out. But it was interesting to me because I figure, like, I already account into it that women are going to be like sort of, you know, illusioned by the fantasy of it. But how many guys look at it and even question it? And they're not going to if the chicks are getting wet in the panties because they think that they're on a 30,000 viewer live stream at some party or some beach club or some shit like that. And so now you have the follow-on effect of the women believing it. So the guys kind of have to go along with it because if they don't want to break the illusion for the woman. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clout is crack cocaine.
Well, at the end of the day, this is an interesting thing, right? This is where, you know, men can really capitalize on this shit if they're thinking it through, you know, and they don't have to be, it helps to be like a genetic alpha, but you don't have to be, you know what I mean? To capitalize this, you just have to be smart, right? And it's like, and to learn this through like my exposure to if you could see some of this on a Netflix special that has interrogations where like when they control the environment, they put somebody in a room and they get them into an interrogation, a savvy interrogator can get them in this bubble of perception where they'll sometimes you know, admit to committing crimes that they didn't, you know what I mean, that they didn't do, or they'll just tell them or expose themselves in ways. And I had experience with this in counterintelligence. I mean, part of my job was to make people like me and then get them to tell me shit that they absolutely should not fucking tell me as an agent for the United States. Right. So like, it's like, and then we roll them up. Right. Like, so why is this guy, even with a language barrier, telling me these things? That you put him in a bubble of perception, and it just tells you that so much of their decision making, especially sexual decisions, are based in perceptions. It's not really reality. And so if you can just work with their perceptions, you can game these women. It's not a requirement to be objectively a certain height or a certain income bracket or this or that, the other. It playing with their perceptions, and they're going to sleep with you, fall in love with you, or whatever. And here's the thing about it. They're lonely now. Like, women are starving for like that guy to come in and give them all those good feelings because they're just on dating apps and acting bitchy and suffering. You know what I mean? Their own behavior is insufferable. So they get terrible results in dating. They're escaping to the internet. They're escaping to TikTok. They're starving for that attention from a guy that makes them feel like they're with somebody with some sort of genetic value, right? And so if you know how to game them and game the system and set up that little bubble, you know what I mean, of perception, like you're just going to be winning. I mean, it sounds like that's what this Ethan Kaiser guy was able to set up, a bubble of perception. And it's
there's different ways. Yeah, and there's different ways to win. Like Ethan Kaiser used technology. He just said, "Hey, I'm going to engineer an app to make me look awesome." There's guys that simply like, "Hey, I'm going to be a DJ or a bartender on the weekends," and instant status. You know, I've heard guys that are lawyers that on the weekends they're bartenders, and boom, they're problem solved instantly. Problem solved. There's guys that start a band. They're like, "Hey, I'm going to start a band because I want to play and get chicks." Guys are figuring this out. And the thing about feminism is just that the more you make it a boogeyman, the less successful you'll be. If you make it, hey, this is the world we live in. We're all feminists to an extent. This is the system. Stop fighting against it. And for the love of God, stop believing that when traditional conservative women say they're not feminists because they're the most feminist of all of us. Because
the best topic.
Yeah, exactly. Bottom. Not only are they using our empathy against you in the paradigm of you being a man, but also of you being a man with like your morals against you. Because, you know, how do we get to Nala Fit, who is talking to Michael Knowles while her OnlyFans is still open, gangbangs and all?
I know.
How did that happen?
Michael Knowles. I'll say this again once again for posterity. Michael Knowles is just Caesar Flickerman from like the Hunger Games, from like. Remember Catching Fire or whatever?
Yeah, so the guy with the slick hair, right?
He almost looks like Caesar Flickerman.
Do you guys, by the way, remember the Spider-Man experiment?
When he does the interview of like the Katniss and PETA or whatever like that, I got those vibes so heavy when he was like interviewing Nala Fit and her like, well, now her husband and everything. I'm like, so what are you? May the odds ever be in your favor or something? He's like, literally, the backdrop is like him, like at the top of Mount Olympus, you know, like, oh, you guys are on your way to heaven. We want to interview you before you go and ascend into heaven or something like that.
God,
There's just, I like, does he not see that he's essentially Caesar flipping at this point?
He does, and that's what the Daily Wire plays into. But going back to the status thing, you guys remember the Spider-Man experiment?
Oh yeah,
experiment. A guy
What was that?
walks down the street in New York or whatever, maybe LA, and he just hired a camera crew, and he had the camera crew follow him.
It was New York. He had two guys with him. He had one camera guy. He had one guy who was his handler. And then the first experiment, I know this because, sorry, to steal your thunder, Jack, but I wrote 2 essays on this back when this happened, right? And I think the videos are still up too. But the dude walked around a mall in New York somewhere and just to test the theory. It was like a social experiment is what it was. He walked around with a handler and a camera guy. And by the time he'd gone through like 2 or 3 different stores, he had this massive following of mostly chicks that were trying to follow him around the mall. And then that's what they said. They said, "Oh, that's Joe Blow from the new Spider-Man movie. Oh yeah, I know him." Like everybody made up shit to say like they knew who this guy was.
I saw him on the poster. I saw him on the poster. There was no poster.
He's getting. I mean, this is back when a phone number meant something. He was like getting girls like phone numbers and stuff like that, and like just it was so you could like get a date or something. But the experiment worked at the mall. So then what they do is they up the game. They go down to Times Square on a busy night, and they walk around and do the same thing, and they get the same effect. In fact, even more so when they're doing this. And again, he's the guy from Spider-Man, blah, blah, blah. And then this time there's dudes that are following along, and they're asking, like, they'll put the camera on the guys and say, "Hey, do you know Joe Blow from this?" "Oh yeah, he's in that new Spider-Man movie," or something like they're like feeding into the bullshit because they see the girls are enamored with this guy that they think is a celebrity. Is absolutely like completely manufactured pre-selection is what it is. And again, it's what Mike always says is that like status is basically perceptive. Like it doesn't matter. Like you can manufacture social proof and pre-selection, and it's never been easier to do it than in the social media age. Remember, this was back in like 2013, 2014, before like we had like YouTube is what it is, and social media is what it is. And it's much more easier to do it these days and fake it more these days. But even then, it proved the concept. It was proof of concept that you could do that. And so when people go, "Well, I wouldn't want to be like that. That's inauthentic. That's not you're not being you're not really being you're a poser. You're like, doesn't matter. Got laid.
You got laid. It's like it's all amoral. The road to power is paved with hypocrisy. Women know this inherently. Who cares?
Well, not to mention, we're talking about persuasion, right? I mean, everybody's always trying to persuade in some way somebody else. Some are more authentic than others. Some can be complete liars and charlatans, but other people can be like congruent and authentic and telling the truth, but they're still trying to persuade. So like your Instagram perception or some of these things that you present out there in order to be attractive to women, it's just persuading women that you're of value enough to hook up with. And some guys are good at it and some guys are not. That's the only difference, right? Like, or some guys are authentic, some guys are not. So when a dude's like, "Oh, that's not, that's all bull. I'm not going to do that," or whatever. Like, I'm not, well, it just tells me they're bad at persuasion. They're bad at game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they just dime themselves out basically.
Do you think you're going to think about morality when the big-titted blonde is sucking your dick? Hell no. You ain't thinking about any virtues.
Yeah. Let me get this super chat real quick. Alex Patine with the 84 with the $5. Queens had more power and privileges than all men put together except the king and few high-ranking men, and she barely had any responsibility, which is the point of feminism is like more authority, less responsibility. So it gets to the point where women do absolutely nothing but have all the power, and men have no power but all the responsibility. We, of course, know
powerful peace and justice.
And she will still claim responsibility for his power. She'll say, "Well, behind every good man is a good, hardworking woman." Like that's incredible. Behind the throne is really the queen.
If the Austrian painter,
if
the Austrian painter was the king of the world right now.
Eva Brown would be.
Eva Brown would be like, I supported him all the way to the end, and I was a good wife. Everyone would be like, wow, what a good wife, Eva Braun. Thank you, King Austrian painter, for setting the world straight, or whatever the Groypers think. But if Anne Frank was still alive, Eva Braun was still alive, they would start a podcast where they would talk about how bad the Austrian painter was.
Right, that's
how it is.
He abused me. He hated dogs. Oh
my biggest, like, I think this is sort of like a blind spot for most people when it comes to like AI, because I like we had Fresh on last week, and like Fresh is always like, hey, if you don't understand AI, you're going to get left behind, and he's right, I think, to a degree. But I'm not worried about AI like stealing people's jobs or whatever. I'm more concerned with it retconning truth or retconning history. Yeah. That's what I'm worried about. Because what do you do? What do you see the most of on Twitter these days? Grok, is that true? And then this whole thing that just runs like
as if Grok is an authority when they're just
already using Grok or AI. They're already using Elon Musk's AI, to determine the veracity of something. And then so I was in a Twitter thing, and I'm like, I forget what I was thinking. I got into it with some feminists, and I go, well, what is it? 50% of guys or 50% of women have a plan B. Of married women have a plan B. They have a backup guy, which has been something that's really been on the books since 2014, I think. And so then of course the chick's like, Grok, is that true? And then Grok throws us, well, in 2014, there was this thing, but like more recent studies show that it's only 16% of women have, oh, that's good, right? Exactly, thanks. Yes. So then I questioned Grok, right? I go, because I was looking at this and I go, I know this is bullshit. Right, because they want to. What they're trying to do is they're trying to tone down or trying to give you it's not as bad as you think it is, right? Mm-hmm. So rather than because I was using Grok was never going to give me like anything except for the 50% and the 16%, right? So then I go to Perplexity. And I asked about this, and Perplexity is like, in my book, is probably the best large language AI that there is, right? And it listed all of the studies from the 2014 one all the way up to 2025, because there's one that comes up to 2025. The one that Grok was quoting for 16% was 2019. And so as recent as 2025, there's one that says it's 70%, right? And so what I did was I copied and pasted that, and I went back to the Twitter thread and I asked Grok, I said, why did you not include all of these other ones that like Perplexity or Google AI or whatever is giving me, but you're only giving me these things? And it was like, well, it's just giving you a mean average, and we don't, we're trying to balance it out so people don't think it's bad as he's like saying
himself out
loud, right? Sure. And I'm like, so you're compromised by what you're allowed to say on this platform, and then it's just well, maybe I could do better next time, and I'm like,
we're sorry.
That was just me. That was just me being like, because I know it was bullshit. I like when I see something, especially because I've been studying this stuff since 2002, 2004, right? I know it's bullshit, and when I see an AI platform trying to sort of like balance, women do this, but men do this too. And it's like, it's always this, it's like, no, if you're going to tell the truth, then tell the whole fucking truth, but they don't. It's only limited to those things. So what happens? What do women cling to? Oh, well, it's really only 16%. No, it's not. If you go and you look at the 2025 studies, it's as high as 70%. So it's somewhere between 16% and 70%. And if you take the mean average between like the 50, because there's other studies that shows it's like 50, 56%, because there's been multiple studies since the first one. And if you take all of those and you just average them out, it's still about 50%, right? But you're never going to get that from Grok, because Grok wants to retcon that your impression of women have a plan B backup guy.
Right.
Or then it'll be like, well, yeah, but like 20% of guys have a backup girl. That there's always has to be some sort of balance to the equation, because that's the way the fucking thing is programmed.
Yeah.
And so what happens is when people defer to Grok for the gospel truth of, AI, that's when you get into that's when people start killing a motherfucker. That's when people go, well, Grok said this was true. I'm going to go over to Grok. What's his address? And Grok will give him the address, and you go out and you go and shoot up his house because you don't agree with that guy. That's the danger, I think, of AI right now.
It is dangerous because
it's the arbiter of truth.
Yeah. Well, and because people just want to, I mean, average to lower IQ people, man, like they just want to outsource their thinking for them anyway.
Mhm.
And AI just gives them the opportunity to outsource. And they're not thinking that, well, there's programming behind this and there's parameters given by the programmers that are going to skew these ideas. And they're also pulling the ideas from the internet and a vast amount of sources. So what you're often going to get is a socially acceptable narrative, or what is the social programming. You're not going to get maybe a true answer outside of that necessarily. And so,
and very few people are going to dig deeper than the first return. That's all.
Right.
Oh, I'm right. Okay, fuck you. That's all they care about, right?
Yeah, they just-
Grok said I'm right. Now that's all. Yeah, they won't try to challenge Grok. Like, that's the scary part. No one wants to challenge Grok.
yeah,
No.
I do all the time, but
Most
most people,
I've done it a couple of times. I see conflicting answers with ChatGPT and Grok. And a friend of mine, he's South African, and we put some South African considering questions into Grok, and he knew that it was all bullshit. They were toning it down. What was happening? He's like, I know this is bullshit because I've seen it. That's kind of where I knew, like, yeah. I mean, it's ironic since it's Elon's like baby, and he's the arbiter of truth and free speech and everything. And meanwhile, when you bring up the uncomfortable things, all of a sudden Grok is like, well, from a different perspective.
Do better on my next try. Yeah,
exactly. Like,
I've learned a lot from our conversation. I'll do better on our next try. Same bullshit.
Yeah, kindly fuck off.
Yeah. Grok is really, you can get Grok to. Grok is basically, it tells you what you want to hear a lot of the times. Like you could put in any problem you have, or any let's say you want to grow on Twitter, on Substack, and you give it your stats. It'll tell you, keep going. What you're doing is fine, even though you've been flatlining for like a month. Or they'll tell you, hey, I'm having this fight with my wife, blah, blah, blah. What should I do? And Grok will default to communication and do this.
Love languages.
Maybe you
love languages. Yeah.
love languages.
Better listener. Yeah, exactly. That's all.
Yeah, it's a Reddit aggregator. You guys, people got to understand, like, it isn't going to some cybernetic brain where it has all the answers of humanity, like a Library of Alexandria. It's saying it's looking for patterns, and a lot of those patterns are on Reddit. Reddit is a huge part of the internet. So when you hear an answer that sounds kind of like, for lack of a better term, gay, it's because
the
Reddit
argument.
Yeah, like a there you go, a destiny argument. We're like, hey, why are women like this? They'll be like, well, studies show, but treat your wife good because she's tired or whatever, blah blah. It's just like, no, this is Reddit. This is Reddit. This is a Reddit answer.
Maybe
they don't pull from 4chan. Yeah,
really misogynist. Yeah,
yeah. They're not going to pull from 4chan. They're not going to pull from the Red Pill archive or our essays. They're going to pull from Reddit. They're going to pull from Wikipedia. All those things are compromised. And trust me, on Reddit, if you even like say anything controversial, like the whole Red Pill subreddit is quarantine. Yeah, it's done. Like you can't. I can still I can still see my old posts on there from like 13 years ago, but it's done. There's nothing you can do.
I put this up. It was like 2 shows ago, but I did this. I did a reaction to, I think it was Logan Ury, and she was on Steve Bartlett with Scott Galloway, and she was mouthing off about like, oh yeah, well, when these lonely guys and these aimless guys, what do they look for? They go and they find these red pill communities, and I don't know, the red pill Reddit and da da da. I'm like. And so I was with Kyle, and Kyle looked it up, and we went to the Red Pill Reddit, quarantine. I'm like, so where are they going? Tell me where they're going, Logan. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but that's where they think that's a source for these guys. So I said, tell me another community. Tell me the people who you're worried about besides Andrew Tate. Tell me who you're worried about. You can't do it. Never got any response because she's full of shit, and everybody knows she's full of shit.
Well, I mean, that's feminism. You got to like. Anything that makes you feel icky, you got to quell and squash. And we don't want men.
What I said before is like like it's getting to the point where like men's sort of, I hate to even, because I don't really agree with this, but everybody says, oh yes, this epidemic of male loneliness, or these guys don't have a best friend that they can talk to, or there's Scott Galloway's, and which, by the way, I looked up again on Perplexity. Scott Galloway's like 1 in 3 men by the time they're 30, if they don't have if they're not in a committed relationship or something like that, they're like 50% or some, I forget whatever it is, 50% more likely to have a gambling addiction or to have a substance abuse addiction or have this or that. I looked this up. Nothing, literally nothing shows
Just
up.
made that shit up.
Pulled this out of his ass, and he said this like 4 or 5 times on multiple platforms, including Oprah Winfrey. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. You are fake fucking news, dude. Like, cite me sources or shut the fuck up.
Did you pull a Trump?
Does not want to fucking that shit, but they can't ignore this stuff. And so that's why when you get like Logan Ury on there and she wants to talk about all they want to do is you just go on there and you mention Andrew Tate. Oh yes, gosh, my stars and garters. I think he's going to be, we really need to do something about him. And then you've got the British government spending 20 million British pounds to re-educate their young boys in school so that they won't be little misogynists for listening to Andrew Tate. And they got to train their teachers to look for misogyny.
Meanwhile, they're importing migrants that sexually assault their everybody.
Talk about those.
In every interview, whether it's with Starmer or it's with like what Jess Phillips or whatever her name is, all these people who are like advocating for a 20 million pound program to do all this stuff. And one of these chicks wanted more. I don't think 20 million is quite enough. And I'm like, every one of them is, they all mention Andrew Tate by name. And I'm like, if he's like Osama bin Laden, right? Like, he is so, if he's the name that keeps coming up over and over again, why don't you spend, I don't know, 1 or 2 million British pounds, send British special forces into Romania in Black Hawk helicopters, have them rappel down the ropes, grab the Tates, spirit them back to the UK and put them on trial for international, take them to The Hague. I don't care. Because put them on trial for international crimes and put them away. It will cost you less money than it will for you to train all these little kids not to ignore Andrew Tate. It's bullshit, man. They need a boogeyman or no one gets paid.
It's kind of maybe a little bit conspiracy theorist, but let me go on this one. Considering what's going on in Minnesota and things like that, we just mentioned the male loneliness epidemic. And as we know, let's be blunt here, since when has government really cared about men? So I'm very skeptical about it. How high is the probability that the narrative of the female loneliness epidemic is artificially manufactured, and they're using this for fraud? The 20 million to fight misogyny. What's the likelihood that that's a Minnesota case where they're just pocketing it?
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. That actually would be the most likely.
I'm putting my tinfoil hat on here, but we are talking about the British government, where it's like not the most reliable source.
Well, you got to remember.
I mean, they did it with DHS. The DHS did it with diverting hate. I'm pretty sure a lot of people that position themselves correctly to get paid, maybe $30,000, $50,000.
I'm not saying men aren't lonely. I'm not saying that because let's be honest, that is a problem. But I don't
anytime there's a problem, someone's going to use it to make some cash, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, the homeless problem. Yeah.
Speaking of which, you guys know who Imran Ahmed is, dude? Don't you?
Is that the guy who caught who got Andrew Tate off of Instagram or something?
Back in August of 2022, right? It's bullshit. I nailed his ass to the wall on that when we were on Dr. Phil. I said, there's no fucking way you guys did that. But Imran Ahmed is I guess he was the chairman or something. He's British. He's a British national working in the United States, by the way. And he was on, I don't know how the Dr. Phil people got him on, but he was like opposite me on Dr. Phil. Turns out they're basically deporting this guy because he has been he was like a secret operative or something like that in the United States. So they're deporting Imran Ahmed. He's trying to fight it legally to stay in the country too. And Imran Ahmed was, I think he's the chairperson, or he's the leader of some sort of this group called confronting or combating digital hate, something like that, like CCDH, something like that. And yeah, you're right. He's the guy that was in August of 22 that he claimed responsibility for taking Tate's scalp, right? He was the guy that was responsible for getting him deplatformed on Stripe and demonetized on. They took away all of his payment providers and stuff like that, and he got him banned from YouTube and all of these, basically big tech. And it was bullshit because they were doing it anyways. He just was trying to take credit for something that his people never had any responsibility for. But the fact of the matter is this guy was in the country since 2022, and has been doing exactly that because because the CCDH or whatever he works for is the Center for Combating Digital Hate. That's what it is. It's the equivalent of a British NGO. And so it gets paid for by British taxpayers for him to go and do that. So every now and then he has to post a win. And for him to say, I got Andrew Tate, that's a big win. And people go, okay, give him juniors college money, right? Give these, they're worth putting more British tax dollars into. Once again, Andrew Tate, the boogeyman, is the guy that is getting other people paid as a result of that. That's why you want to know why they're not in jail right now? Because the longer he stays out of jail, the more people
better he is.
The more money people make off of this whole thing. They won't, because they're not going to come after me. They're not going to come after Justin Waller. They're not going to go after Myron or anything like that. Not when they've got like a firebrand like Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate. Once those guys go down, once they outlive their usefulness, then they'll go away. But they're very, very useful to make a lot of people a lot of money.
Are they flying to Israel like Clav as well?
Clav, God.
Oh my God.
He's going to go kiss the wall. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. You said that.
He's going to go kiss the wall. It's complete bullshit, but I laugh my ass off. Clav is going, because they're going to do like a live stream. So it'll probably be like AI or something. But Clav is supposed to go to the wall, to the Wailing Wall to kiss the wall so he can get back into the club in Miami.
It's like the homeless. It's like the homeless problem.
Clav, genius, absolute genius.
It's like the homeless problem. If we could solve the homeless problem, but if we solve the homeless problem, like everyone that's job is to solve the homeless problem would have to find another job. So,
on drugs.
The cycle continues.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's why Osama bin Laden was that's why I compared Tate to Osama bin Laden, because we didn't still don't think we got Osama bin Laden when Hillary and Obama got him. I think he died in the hills of Tora Bora at some point, but they kept up the mythology that he was still out there. And then the narrative ran its course, and they can't say, well, they wanted to have a win, and so they say, oh, we got it, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Everybody celebrates, and they dump up a nameless body in the ocean and say, oh, that was Osama.
I never heard about that one. That's an interesting one.
Well, they
never got Osama.
There was never a public identification of the body. Yeah. They showed video of a wrapped up body that they dumped in the ocean. Because they wanted to be respectful of like Muslim tradition, because I guess you have to like bury a body or dispose of a body within a certain amount of time. Yeah, and there was never any like, here's his body, here's where he was shot, this is him, he is Osama bin Laden, we killed this guy. Right. Never any public identification of the body. Yeah. Because, and a lot of this, again, conspiracy theory, put on your tinfoil hat. He was actually killed in the hills of Tora Bora right around 2007 or something like that. But they needed him as a boogeyman so that they could keep the military-industrial they could keep Afghanistan going right up until Biden bugged us out in 2017, 28, or no, it's going to be in 2020, I think.
Yeah, it's 20.
So that went on for a long ass time. And what are they doing? They're just making more money and feeding bodies in the meat grinder.
That's kind of what I meant with the loneliness crisis, where it's like, look, I truly believe some men are lonely, but to the extent that the people who have been proven to be fraudulent make it out to be, I have my doubts. Or somebody's making money off of it, and they laugh.
Yeah.
Somali daycares.
And that was just the tip of the iceberg, man. Like I said, why do you think I was so pissed off when I saw it? Not because I'm American, but I know it's happening in the Netherlands. I know. And Minnesota is larger than the Netherlands. So when you make the comparison, you just know how bad it is at home. For me, at least.
Yeah. Let's get this super chat real quick. Marriage causes divorce with the 2 pounds. Imran Ahmed ignores UK grooming gangs, but not the red pill. I mean, it's a business, and business you got to do. People got to get paid.
Like
he has a mansion. He has vacations. He has to pay for all that stuff.
Dude, here's a little black pill for European listeners. Did you know that they get subsidies for the immigrants? So if you're wondering why they're not being kicked out en masse, because government is being paid for them. That's why.
Who's paying them?
EU is giving out subsidies to
500,000 refugees in Spain just got citizenship or let in 2 days ago. 500,000, 500,000. Now they can travel wherever they want in the EU.
I wanted to go to Malaga, man. I was looking into Malaga. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like people. It's always this element. It's not even tinfoil hat. It's just always been the thing, man. Like, there's always people who want to profit from the situation at hand. You know what I mean? And it's like, and this is the same thing when you come up with like any kind of movement, right? Or group, like, okay, like we're going to combat, oppression or something, or we're going to, okay, so what happens when you're successful? What happens when well, you're out of a job, you know what I mean? You're out of a movement. And so you see this, like a lot of it is to continue a problem so that you can fight the problem. I mean, it's and you have some sort of figurehead or representation, like in Afghanistan. It's like, I don't know, it's very possible Osama bin Laden has been dead for a longer time than what they said, because it's very suspect. But
That was a good narrative for.
But I was over in Afghanistan, and I will say it's not that there isn't a Taliban and more or less an oppressive enemy force, that it's not like that doesn't exist or anything. You are fighting that. There are people in charge of that, but it's almost like to get the public to want to fund it and to fuel, you have to control narratives and control public perception.
You have to cause anxiety. You have to blow up problems bigger than they are. Because, like, to me, like the male loneliness epidemic is just like, dude, just go to, like, if you're a nerdy guy, go to a card shop.
The solution is so easy.
Yeah, it's just like, go, like, call a friend, like, get online and
I just
meet up with your friend.
I cry to him, and he tells me I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, call a person.
Call me, like, and I'll tell you be okay.
Why do we need millions of dollars for that? And the thing is, and then they never frame it as we need help, man. They frame it as, if we don't get these guys friends, they're gonna shoot up a school. And
yeah,
I'm like, hold on, whoa.
Right. And I want to get you guys' opinion on the loneliness epidemic and all that, because I think it's real, but again, I think it's being used. It's the same thing, right? Like just like there is a terrorist threat and extremists in countries like Afghanistan, but that's also being used in order to fuel an military industrial complex. Like, two things can be true, right? So, like, I think there's a loneliness epidemic. I think that's real. I think it's affecting women. Like, that what's not a common narrative is, I think that it's affecting women quite a bit as well, and I think that that's going to increase. But it's also being used, right? It's being used as a boogeyman, a narrative, something to fight against, something, a straw man sort of, in order to take down. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's what Saga says here. It's just a lonely old man myth. That really, feminism is just the threat of, hey, if you don't do mommy's bidding, you will be lonely, or you'll be broke, or you'll be in jail, or you'll be. It's just threat after threat.
On the wrong side of history.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, now it's just like, men are like, go ahead. What do I have to live for? That's what scares them, because now that men are like accepting that they're not going to have a family, houses are too expensive. They're not going to get the candidates they want in office. Their favorite streamers or whoever they follow are getting canceled, for better or for worse, right? And they're like, okay, cool. I got nothing. I got video games. I got porn. I got weed. What else are you going to do?
Right.
Go ahead. I'm done. There's no carrot is gone. And the best you can come up with is, if you don't do this, then you're going to be even more lonely. I'm like, I already am.
What I noticed about the Scott thing is that it's pure pandering for votes. This is their method to get men to vote Democrat. It's like, oh, we're noticing you're lonely. We're noticing you're sad and you can't get a girl. But you know what? Because Scott was regurgitating the bootstrap argument, where it's like, that I live the day that I hear a Democrat say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like, he wasn't saying it literally. He was saying it indirectly. And all I could think of was, you're losing the male vote. That's why you're saying this. This has nothing to do with actual solving men's issues, because it was through the lens of female compliance, or female approved masculinity. That's what it was. And they know they're losing men. It's the left needs a Joe Rogan. Rogan is still left. Do not conflict. Like, Do not be confused about that. Rogan is still very much a lefty. Don't worry about that. But they know that men predominantly vote Republican. And this is one of those attempts to get men to finally listen to them.
I think what's really kind of hypocritical about that whole thing is like during when was it? It was a Progressive Victory, which is a political action committee, a PAC, for the DNC, right? And right around the summertime of 2022 is when they started buying influencers like Destiny he was the highest profile one, that he was on the payroll right up until like December of last year, right? And all of his friends, Vaush and the rest of these dudes, and Brittany Venti and Lauren Southern and Jasmine Jafar and Farah and all of his, Destiny's Angels, all of his girls, like certainly Pixie was definitely on that payroll as well. All of them they had to sign NDAs so that nothing got back to them. They had to also not mention it for the ones that were still on Twitch. They had to be careful of it, because if they started saying like this is a paid political advertisement or something like that, Twitch would not allow that. So they had to like find end arounds around that. But their purpose was to, like in Destiny's case, was to destroy the red pill, do as much as they can, do as much damage as they possibly can, because they weren't interested in getting more guys to convert to democratism. They wanted you to get so demoralized that you wouldn't go to the polls in 2024 to vote for Donald Trump. I'm happy to say that guys like me and guys like Tate and guys like Myron were the ones who said, whether they were trying to or not, were at least in some way instrumental in getting a greater number of guys to go out and vote for Trump. So what happens after the election? That's when they have those little think tanks. And how are we going to get guys to come back to the fold? How are we going to get men to come back and vote Democrat, like come back to the plantation, right? How do we get guys to become Democrat again? And the fact of the matter is they never did. They never wanted them to in the first place. They tried to demoralize guys because they knew that the Democratic like ideology was the antithesis of anything masculine. And so there's no way you can sell like liberal, progressive, wokesy Democrat to guys, because it's just simply fundamentally goes against what guys are about. And their whole platform is based on just female empowerment, feminism, and everything else. So how do you do that? You don't. The only thing that they can do is try to force guys out of the process, to make sure guys, they like disorganize them, make sure that they're isolated. The loneliness epidemic, all this other shit that they keep harping on right now, that's as a result of that effort to demoralize guys and to make sure that they don't go to the polls. Because if guys are together and they have solidarity and they're cooperating and everything, that's the worst thing that they can possibly think of. But now they're trying to like make an effort, which is ridiculous, but they're trying to make this effort to find a guy or create a guy like Scott Galloway who's going to bring these guys back to the fold, who's going to go on Oprah. Like Scott Galloway in any other universe never goes on Oprah. But now he does, because they want him to be the new Jordan Peterson. They want him to be the Joe Rogan or the Theo Vaughn or all those the influencers so they're creating this character in Scott Galloway, because they think that he's going to be the one to drag all these guys back to the fold, and it's simply not going to happen.
You know what pissed me off most about him? That he was supposedly a fitness expert. I'm like, look at this guy. Look at him. What do you mean?
He has no degree in sociology, no degree in psychology. He's an economist, for fuck's sake.
Oh my gosh.
Couldn't even bench the bar.
Well, and this is the thing, like a lot of, and I'm not talking like, a couple hundred subscriber YouTube popular, but I'm talking like really popular, people. It's almost like they're being picked in a way to be in that position. I just wonder what you guys' thoughts are on that, because it's like, you have people, especially like YouTube. I think about this. I mean, I'm very small, you know what I mean? I think about this with marketing my services and stuff. It's like, you can get out there, but it's in any sense, you can work the system, but it's like somebody who's in like a Scott Galloway or somebody who's in the relationship, advice space or something like that, and has millions of people following them. It's like it's almost like they're picked to be in that position. It's almost like the algorithms and
AstroTurf.
People
like AstroTurf.
He's AstroTurf, calling it now.
He's a character. He's a cartoon character. He's a persona that they're trying to build up to be someone to drag people over. Now, this whole thing right here, I was just looking at this like last week and this week. I'll probably put it on my show tomorrow. But if you look at the partisan gap between young men and young women, like people keep saying, oh, there's so much difference between men and women. And they think that it's been men who've been radicalized by the right because of guys like Theo Vaughn, guys like Joe Rogan, guys like me or Myron or Tate or whoever else. And the fact of the matter is, if you look at the sort of the more or less conservative over the years, from 2015 to where we are, there's been a little bit of a dip right there. But it's women who have largely like gone excessively towards more liberal, more leftist, more wokesy stuff. And because we are in a gynocentric social order, because we use the female experience as the correct experience, we think that because of that divide, if you look at that top divide right there around 2022 right there, if you look at that, and if that's the normative, then yeah, it looks like men have gone radically to the right. They haven't done anything different than really much different anyways than they have since 2000. But because the gulf between men and women is so broad, and we use women as the benchmark, as the normative, like this is the normative state, right? If you don't agree with women, you're not normal. Because of that big, huge divide right there, men haven't like matched them to be more liberal. There must be something wrong with men. Guys must be getting radicalized when the opposite is actually true. And that bottom line right there, where you look at men who kind of like more or less stayed about the same, somewhere within that plus 10, range for conservatism, that is exactly why Scott Galloway will fail. Because he's never going to drag men all the way up to the top where women are right there, because that's what he would have to do to get guys to vote Democrat.
So, and the thing is, young men are the smallest voting bloc, I think. Like, they don't even vote anymore. And that's
Well,
that's the problem.
That's what they're depending on. They're depending on you not voting. That's their strategy for this is a midterm, but their strategy for this year and for the 2028 is men drive them away from the polls. Because if they go to the polls, we're going to lose, or we're going to be very strapped to do this. We're going to have to resort to rigging the election.
Yeah. Well, it's like apathy as a form of control, right? Because if guys are motivated and wanting to do shit and accomplish things, they're dangerous, right? Harder to control. If a guy is forced into apathy just because of narratives and he believes it and says, fuck it, I'm going to retreat to my apartment, you know what I mean? And my
goon cave,
right? And I'm not going to participate in anything. Well, then that guy, I mean, by checking out, he can't oppose those with different interests, right? Those who profit from leftist ideology. So it's kind of a biggest, way to,
It's crazy because the biggest voter bloc, I think, is boomers, like the most active. Like boomers will get out and vote, and then I think followed by women. And that's the sad part, where like men who are the ones that actually like we have the least stake in this country right now, and they're not voting. And that's, I don't know if it's by design. They've been trying to like hammer this into men, like don't vote. Yeah. And the thing is, like, a lot of men, here's the thing, a lot of men that think also that by not voting, it gives them some sort of power. Like you'll have the Groypers, they'll say like, hey, Trump didn't do this, so let's all stop voting. I'm like, great. Congratulations, you did it.
Yeah.
Everyone's telling men not to do shit.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It's like working, dude. Like, okay, so like, what is it? 5 years ago? I don't know, right? Like, I mean, whatever anyone thinks about Andrew Tate, but like, he was at least, you know, they were like promoting getting out and fucking being successful, right? Like getting out of your fucking goon cave and going and doing shit.
You're broke. I remember that video. You're broke.
No, dude, his video just to make me laugh. I got a funny, real quick anecdote. So I'm actually cutting onions and cooking because I enjoy cooking. I've worked in the restaurant industry, and so I if you guys ever come over to my house, I'm going to be cooking for you. It's the way it goes.
Hell yeah, prime rib with Apex.
So I'm cooking and I'm listening, just scrolling YouTube, and then Andrew Tate gets on talking about, oh, what are you going to cut the onion? And you know, he starts imitating someone. I'm like cutting onions. He's talking about cutting onions and how like you're not like you're like a big gigantic pussy if you cook and like all that stuff. And I'm just like, I'm just cracking up, dude.
What did I ever do to you, man?
Like I'm a pussy because I'm cooking. Anyway, but I mean, but is the narrative though, back to the is like get out there and fucking accomplish shit, right? And I've noticed now 2026 since they've thrown him in jail and taken him out as much as they could, right? And like a lot of stuff, it's like apathy now is the thing, right? It's like it's almost working. It's like now Nick Fuentes is the popular guy. You know what I mean? Nothing. I don't know anything about Nick Fuentes that much, you know, but it's like he's kind of like a stay out of the sexual marketplace sort of.
Yeah,
I mean, he
yeah.
appeals to guys who
And
have
that's
a
why
dream
he's
game,
always
right? Like,
yeah, and that's always why they confuse him with being like paid agent, because anyone that tells men not to try, or like hey, or makes them feel like they're a victim and that there's nothing they can do, that's really the goal, right? And that's really like why a lot of people don't like the red pill stuff, is because we tell men, yeah, do stuff but for yourself, and that's the counter to, and that's why they always confuse us with feminism, right? Because they think, oh, red pill is just feminism for men, and I'm so fucking tired of hearing that, because yes, while we do adopt female sexual strategy and adapt it to male sensibility, you call it feminism, right? Because we tell men to do it for themselves, for their own, like, what do you want? What are your goals? And here's how to achieve them. Here's how, if you want to date 3 women, here it is. If you want to date 1 wife, that's perfectly fine too. If you want to do this or want to do that, here are the notes. And the establishment does not like when men go their own way and are good at it and are successful and are on their, they don't want men to have leverage. And that's rule 0. That's the show, is like giving men more leverage. And that's why we'll never be popular, because, or, you know, there's a certain ceiling that honest red pill content creators have, where we can go to a conservative podcast and we can
only
be like,
allowed
hey,
to go so far here, you know.
They'll be like, the red pill is feminism for men. We're like, no, we just tell men that, like, figure out what you want. Here's how you get it. This here, and best practices, like, hey, if you want to talk to a girl, use this pickup line, whatever bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And they don't like that because, wait, what about women? I'm like, it's not about women. It never was. It's about you, self-actualization. The women come later. You have to like focus on yourself and figure out what you want and get it, and stop depending on some internet daddy to tell you what to do.
I understand what you're saying, but you're getting tired with it. Like, I share the same thought of that. However, it also helps out a lot with filtering out who you can talk with, because calling the red pill of feminism for men is the same as calling car mechanics a philosophy. You know, it's like, oh, I'll disavow the red pill. So, okay, you're disavowing a manual. Like, what are you gonna use a screw, or how are you gonna unscrew a screw? You know, like with a book
too. Not even one a praxeology. Not even one that's like giving you you have to do A, B, and C in order.
Like, what are you gonna fix a car with? A brush? Like, it doesn't work like that.
What's funny is like I mean, I wish there was a better word than praxeology, like something like bonehead 8th graders could understand. Like,
manuals.
Seriously, though.
Because you say
that's the best one I could come up with. Nintendo, I mean, power for fucking.
It's like the kids with Down syndrome, huh? You know, like a potato. Like they don't understand what the word means, right? No. But like, so when I'm trying to explain, like, that's not red pill, but that's not what gets me. What gets me is this: is like the default is for these guys to interpret, women particularly, but like for guys who are like sort of like women leaning, white knight leaning, they instantly think of it in terms. Well, tradcons do the same thing. They instantly like presume it's an ideology, it's a movement, it's a cult, it's a belief set, it's a philosophy, it's a whatever. It's a system of belief, and that is always expressed in, well, you guys always say, or the red pill philosophy is, or the movement is, or they'll like try to, I mean, they're straw manning, obviously, but the straw man is always based on conflicting systems of belief, like what are best practices, right? And trying to explain to them that the red pill is a praxeology and not a system of belief, and not a, not a movement, not a philosophy, not a religion, nothing like that. It's like speaking Swahili to them, because they don't have a frame of reference. Because if it's a belief, then their belief conflicts with that belief, and then they can argue it from a position of belief versus belief, as opposed to, no, this is empirical truth. These are data sets. This is facts. These are objective observations, that kind of stuff like that. They can't argue with those, because those are facts. That's factual. But then they go like, well, because you're telling me what these facts are, it's you trying to promote your belief, which is this, and this. I'm like, no, I'm actually just giving you data sets here, but because I'm not telling you how to feel about them, you default to belief. And most people do that. Like I would say 80 or 90% of people always default to, this is a belief and it conflicts with my belief, therefore I'm going to challenge it on the basis of belief. And it's not. It's like, okay, show me some conflicting facts, show me some conflicting data sets or something like that. Then we can have an empirical discussion, an empirical debate about what I just presented to you. And you're going to get much further and have much more constructive conversation as a result of that. But when you say, well, the red pill is just this, or the red pill is just that, or like Jack was saying before, when trad cons will be like, the red pill is just feminism for men, it's like, no, actually traditional conservatism is the flip side of feminism, because it all achieves the same goal, which is deference to a female normative society, a female correct experience in the world. We have to do what you've got to take more responsibility. You've got to have a masculine duty to do this and this and this. And was it
Father's Day sermon, the Father's Day sermon.
Charlie Kirk was like, you're not allowed to play video games until your wife is a woman of leisure, until all of your material needs are met. And even then, you only get half an hour playing Space Marine 2, right? You can't do anything until that woman is 100% like satisfied, which is a never ending.
Never will.
Never be happy.
That you just never be happy. But the thing is like, so by that standard, by that logic, how is that any different? Like the end result is the same as feminism. It's female empowerment. Only you're the one that feels like you're responsible for the female empowerment. When it comes to like liberal Democrat feminism, it's the woman who's responsible for her own empowerment, but they all achieve the same goal. That's the difference between the red pill and traditional conservatism and feminism. Again, for me to make that case, I have to resort to empirical arguments, and they don't want to discuss that because they want to turn it into a system of belief.
And that's why debate is dead, because nobody can detach their personality from an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why they say feminism is an ideology. I'm like, ask a 20-year-old girl who's just got promoted to something in her company, and she doesn't know why. She doesn't know why she got promoted. She's like, oh well, I'm a hard worker. And I'm like, you're 22.
Yeah, right. She goes to a female daycare called an office when she checks emails for an over $100,000 a year to have an email job.
Josh Fluke still around?
Who?
Yeah, he still
does his shit. Does he still do those videos about HR and the office, the decoration and everything?
Yeah.
Oh, it really is a daycare for women. Let's be honest. For real. Most of white collar. That's the thing too, right? And Cappy is 100% right on this. Every time they say men are falling behind, no, we're not. We're ahead of the curve. We're ahead of the curve. So they're falling out of academia. You know why? Because academia ain't shit no more. They are falling out of white collar jobs. You know why? Because men don't thrive in white collar jobs because you have maximized everything for the female.
Yeah, the little office parties where they play little games and it's Friday. You want to go home to play Space Marine. Like, Martha, I don't care about this. I don't care about the potluck. I just want to go home.
Yeah. ¿Cómo estás?
It's Joanne's birthday.
Hola, I don't know who he is. What is it?
Hey, feminism is costing me my sleep, man. I'm not enjoying this feminism right now.
It's the market, man. Feminism is destroying the market.
Right. Well, happy birthday, man. First time meeting you, but happy birthday, man.
Which one?
John?
Oh, I think he conflicted the joke with reality. No.
I thought he was really sorry. I was like,
I mean, my birthday's in a couple days, so I'll take it.
Really?
Hey, there you go.
When's your birthday, Paul?
Thank you. 2nd of February. So
okay, special rule 0 on the 2nd of
I'm gonna
February.
be 48 years old. What the fuck?
Man, you hit the wall, bro.
I've hit the
wall. So your girlfriend is getting
a
year younger,
like 8 years ago.
Are you doing the Leo DiCaprio method, or are we staying steady?
Well, right now we're pretty steady. She's very pretty, and she's I'm happy.
Don't let them find out. Don't let them find out again.
Go before she turns 26.
I'm very happy. We'll put it like that. So I don't know. We'll see.
How many years
don't let the feminists find out.
Yeah, she's still only 28 now. So I mean,
we'll
see.
Pushing it, Paul.
I don't know. Yeah, I know. Right.
I mean, as long as she treats you right.
She does. Well, and we got our gym life together now too. So that helps.
Awesome.
build those
Yep.
positive habits now, right? So it's all good.
Yeah. Food
But,
is too good now. You have to go to the gym. The food is too delicious now.
the food is too delicious, dude. I'm
Yeah,
in there
it's-
cutting the onions, being a brokey or whatever. So we gotta go to the gym to up our
Freaking Andrew
FMV
Tate, man.
somehow. You know what I mean?
You gotta admit though, Andrew Tate is hilarious. You gotta admit,
Dude,
if you could see the comedic value.
I didn't take offense to it. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
I
like
get a kick out of it, out of a lot of those things.
I don't feel offended when he screams, "You're broke"
dude.
on some kind of TikTok. I'm like, this is funny. This is comedy. This is
Yeah.
absolute cinema.
His old videos were funnier though, when he was like
Yeah.
really pushing it about what was it? I learned that in self-defense, female self-defense, and he goes on this tangent. It's like, damn, son.
The funniest thing I've seen Andrew Tate do recently, and this is a hidden video, and it was just popped up on my Instagram. He was eating cereal out of a Hello Kitty bowl, right? And they were like, "Dude, you're gonna eat cereal out of it?" I think Tristan said, "You're gonna eat cereal out of this?" Like, leave me alone. I like my Hello Kitty bowl. And I'm like, damn, that's actually good. I was like laughing. I'm like, wow, I want a Hello Kitty bowl too now. Maybe he's a paid
That's what he and
sponsor.
his brother do a lot. They just,
And a
they
superpower.
do that thing. I will do everything you don't tell me to do. That's kind of how
Yeah.
those two push each other. It's hilarious sometimes.
No, it
Yeah.
is hilarious. I was going to mention though too, because somebody mentioned it in the chat, so I'll address it. Asked about, well, what about like simping and the simping epidemic? So, and not to steer it back a little like serious discussion or whatever, but yeah, it's like I think that like guys deciding how they want to live their lives, and if they want to be, without they don't want to be in a relationship, they don't want to be married. That's I think fine. You know what I mean? Nice. See your little comment there, Jack. But yeah, that's fine. You know what I mean? That's I think that's fine. But I think the problem is the simp thing's a trap, right? Like, so a guy checks out, he says, women aren't, I don't want to deal with women in the dating marketplace. I don't want to deal with stuff. I'm going to my goon cave. I'm going to do what I want. I'm whatever, cool. But then they end up falling into simping as a replacement for dating and meeting up with real women. So next thing you know, they're sending money to an OnlyFans girl, or they're, you know what I mean? They get that outlet out somehow. And I think that's the trap, the danger.
How much do you see? How much do you see that in crypto, DCC?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, there's a fair amount of simping happening, and so you usually don't see it until like you go to like events, basically, where
Oh yeah.
I mean, actually, me and Rolo had a webinar we did kind of on this topic literally a couple days ago. Where
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. We had a bunch of guys over and stuff, and then pretty much what happens is like they're easy marks for the most part. I mean, you go to these events, use people who made a lot of money. Not today, but
Definitely not.
How's it going right now?
One of the reasons I'm a little tired right now, I was up pretty late, basically, with all the price action and stuff like that. But yeah, but pretty much your easy marks. These are people. It's kind of, we were talking about basically, giving dynamite to kids. You get wealth really rapidly. You imagine you're a person, you put $8,000 and it turns into a couple $100,000 for the first time. You get that sudden wealth effect, and then the market keeps continuing on, and so it's just in a rapid succession. A year and a half, someone goes from literally just like no money at all to like their first million or couple of million, and they're spending it like pretty crazily and stuff. And now they're starting to get some female attention, especially if they go to these events. And then if even it's dorky guys, the dorky guys are saying you're cool. You basically these gold diggers start looking at you crazy, basically. Yeah. And
you go your whole life without any positive like affirmation, and then you go to this convention and it's nothing but positive affirmation.
Yeah, they can't handle it. Well, and that goes back to like this. To me, I think the, saying the kind of the saying chase excellence, not women, is it's okay, but it's incomplete, right?
Mhm.
Because you shouldn't chase women, obviously, and ignore your purpose and your financial security and success. That'd be retarded. But at the same time, like, if you're not gaming women when you're broke, and when you're trying on the come up, you're not going to have those skills or that awareness once you get there.
Gold
Then
diggers.
you're in big fucking trouble, because the more you have, the more someone can try to take from you.
Gold
And-
diggers are made, not born. You make them. You
Yeah.
make them. How do they know there's gold? Because you keep flaunting it. Like Paul says, if you don't know how to get chicks when you're broke, for the love of God, don't try it with money.
Yeah, you catch what you fish for.
Yeah,
hide
you're
your
in a
power
game
level.
deficit that can
Hide
really
it.
get you in trouble, especially if you have a lot of value and something to lose. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, that's a whole trap, man, that guys need to worry about for sure.
I think it's like simping is more of a men are addicted to female validation, right? That's why
Right.
feminism exists. It's because yeah, we want sex, we want pussy, but it's just like more than men want sex, they want a girl to like them, to think they're cool, right? And that's why we have 4K streaming porn literally even if I open X and like I'll open Instagram and I'll be like, hey, anime stuff or whatever nerdy hobby I like, and there's some girl there shaking her body, look at me. And guys need to understand, like, the OnlyFans thing isn't about the porn and the physical stuff. It's about validation. They want a cute girl to worry about them, to say, hey, how was work today? Or you're so handsome or whatever. Because there's plenty of porn everywhere. It's literally everywhere. The internet was made for this stuff. As a matter of fact, half the technology on the internet is here because porn pioneered it first, like subscription models and all that stuff. But
Blu-ray.
if
porn.
the only way to stop, I mean, you can't stop the epidemic, but within an individual, you tell them, hey, the reason you feel like you got to do nice things for this girl that you don't know is because in your DNA you were taught that female validation is good, and it means that the tribe is happy, and you got to overcome that, right? I think Rolo mentioned the story where the Aurora, Colorado shooting, where guys would jump in front of bullets for women they didn't know. They just jump. Hey, I have a whole life ahead of me, but this girl I just saw at the movie theater, I'm going to jump in front of a bullet and die.
Yeah.
But in situations where men have time to think and are like, okay, this train's about to crash, or there's somebody that's holding up this bank or whatever, and men can escape, they do, because they have time to think and be like, that girl's cute, but I got a family at home, or that girl's cute, but I got a date tonight, or I got work in the morning. I got to get the fuck out of here.
Well, that's
So
that
just
mammalian brain instinct to take yourself out of the gene
Yeah.
pool if you're not a valuable, we'll say, contributor genetically by mating with multiple bitches in the gene pool. It's the reason why we'll say, I don't know, for censorship reasons, you know, ending your life rates for men are so much higher, you know what I mean, than women. It's actually a instinctual drive to do that when you aren't the person who can potentially carry a baby. There's parts of the brain, if there's no value to the tribe, to consolidate resources to the tribe, you take yourself out. You know what I mean? It's an interesting thing, but that's where jumping in front of bullets comes from too. You know, it's just their
Robert Henderson. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, that's it.
Rob Henderson just posted an article where he said, like, yeah, men are more likely to end themselves because whatever, blah blah. They're disposable. I'm like, yes, we talked about that decades ago. Men are disposable.
I know.
Yeah. Congratulations.
This just in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Nice to know you're catching up to the Red Pill 2012.
Yeah.
Rob still hasn't
Probably
gone.
3 articles in your blog about that.
What's funny is this, like, I don't know if you saw that one episode, or he was on some other podcast, and I like Rob. Okay. I literally I'm a paid subscriber to his Substack. I like Rob because he comes up with good data. And in the past, he's been way better than he is now that he's got his doctorate degree, right? And so I have collected a bunch of his tweets of, you know, like studies and research and data and stuff that I still use to this day. This dude went on this one podcast. I forget the chick's name, but she was on there, and he was like, well, you know, there's this guy, the Rational Male, and yeah, I don't know much about him. I have him on mute, but for the next 45 minutes, let me tell you all about the Rational Male, right? And like, just the fact that you're prefacing it with that means you're full of shit, right? But essentially just coming up with all this bullshit, which he affirms in his own tweets and his own stuff. I'm like, I told him, I was responding to this on my show. I'm like, I use your data. Like, you're going to give me shit from using your data just because I'm interpreting it in a different way. And sometimes not even so much of a different way. But I'm the one that's broadcasting this, and you got me on mute. You haven't blocked me, but you have me on mute. And I'm just like what? It's this, just this ignorance. It's just this willful ignorance. Did you guys see the interview between? I've posted this a million times. It's between Andrew Huberman and Chris Williamson. And Andrew Huberman was making the case that when you're on a date with a woman, you should take her to 3 different venues, right? Because then it's sort of
the location
timeline and the story arc and everything. And the woman feels that you're going to develop a better emotional association. It feels like you've been on some adventure rather than just like, I'm going to sit across the table from you, have coffee or wine or whatever it is, right? So he's saying it's way better for guys to take a woman to 3 different locations. Chris Williamson knew this, and he goes, yeah, did you know that back in the day, pickup artists were weaponizing this? And it was exactly the same thing. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, Chris. I said, Andrew Huberman says exactly the same thing that Mystery said in 2007 or whatever, 2005.
Yeah.
But it's weaponized. But if Andrew Huberman says it,
it's
gospel science. Like,
meanwhile, 2 years ago,
I hate these fucking guys, man.
2 years ago, an article came out of all the side chicks Andrew Huberman had.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good for him, though. Honestly,
was he using that with all the side chicks that he had?
Probably didn't have to, dude. He just sat in his apartment. Fucking.
Well, you know, Andrew Huberman's. He's okay. So Andrew Huberman has status. He has prestige. He has money. He's very popular. You know, definitely.
Jack's too. You know, he's got.
He's not in bad shape for his age. He's like women. He's got that lumberjack appeal, right? Yeah. And so he's gonna get laid. He knows he's gonna get laid and everything. I think what's funny is like people would expect him not to. Like, no, he's one of the good guys. He's only supposed to be with one woman. No. But again, it's like Chris Williamson doesn't care. Like we've been, like, the Red Pill has been talking about this, at least in my case, for the last 24 years. If we say it, we're weaponizing it. Andrew Huberman says it in 2025. It's the fucking gospel truth, and everybody should be.
Well, this is kind of what I mean about picking winners and losers, right? Like, it's like the system in some way, which Williamson's a part of, you know, clearly, is like they're picking who they're choosing who to, like, who's the winner here. Oh, we'll give now I like Andrew Huberman, right? But it's like, well, he's going to be the winner. Some other pickup artist or some other people who said it 20 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Oh no, they're weaponizing. They're not the ones that we should give,
because we're not in their ecology. We're not in their we're not in our narrative is different than them. You know, we're not in their in their social ecology or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, we're not in that space.
Their social ecosystem, if you will.
Ecosystem, yes. We're not in that ecosystem. But like I would say this is like we can get up to the gate, and then we can have a lot of people following us and everything like that, and they'll look over the gate and they'll go, oh, I'll take that. Let's take the 3 date, the 3 location date. Let's take War Brides. Let's take Alpha Widow. Let's take this, and let's take it, and then we'll pretend like we came up with it. And they're happy for you to do all the groundwork and the legwork, but you'll never get past the fucking gate.
We are their Nikola Tesla.
Well, it's funny is like, what Andrew Wilson was just on Joe Rogan, and Andrew never really, all he did was talk politics mostly. And I was expecting him to like start talking about how women were and this and that and everything. That never came up. No. And I'm wondering if that wasn't like sort of a pretense for being on the show. Because I'm wondering why he didn't talk about the shit that he did on whatever podcast.
Yeah. I think he wants to get out, in all honesty. I think he wants to fully pivot to politics.
Well, yeah, Andrew Wilson, because he's got the word war debate thing going on and all that, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's like the way he's billing it like it's professional wrestling and stuff. I mean, I get it. I understand why people think it's fun, but that's not debate. It's not classical debate. It's just postmodern discourse is what it is.
But I mean, like you just mentioned, it's very simple. We are their Nikola Tesla to their Thomas Edison. We do all the groundwork, we build it, and then they'll
pull it over the gate and use it themselves.
Yeah.
And
which one is that again? Of the
and it wasn't like and the thing is, it was hundreds of thousands of men with problems that said, hey, I want to better my life, and how do I figure this out? And they were the ones that bled red to get this praxeology off the ground. And then, some of us took our experiences and then we, took from each other. We stand on the shoulder of giants, of course. But then eventually these guys, like, what was his name? Date Psych. Does Date Psych paint? Does he seem like the type of guy that was out there talking and dating women?
No, he's started on that motherfucker.
Like flamed out midway. Well, actually, probably the early part of 2025. Like people, like he got into this scandal and then he just disappeared after that. So I don't even know what happened to Alex.
Yeah, he's gone forever.
Which it's funny is which he probably could have come back, but he didn't, and that's what makes it that much more incriminating as far as I'm concerned. But like, no, I agree with what you're saying. Is like for a lot of times, like I'll listen to these guys, like it'll be Rob Henderson or it'll be like Chris Williamson or any of these other dudes, and they'll be like, well, men need to go out and make more approaches. They need to just get out there because they're like most men. What was it? They'll quote the stats like saying like men don't go out and ask women out. They're just not doing it. They're not approaching and everything like. So the pickup artists were right. So they go and make approach. So now you're basically saying that the pickup artists were right, and then that's what kills all conversation with these guys. But they're essentially agreeing. They're agreeing with pickup artists of the mid 2000s.
And speaking of that, I wanted to bring this video about with Helen Andrews, where she's saying the same stuff that we say on a daily basis, but she gets to say it in front of the national conservatism, whatever, and everyone claps. And that's the thing about feminism. Only women can criticize feminism; men cannot. So, just play this video real quick.
If you want to put it in a single sentence, you could say that feminization equals wokeness. Everything you think of as wokeness is simply an epiphenomenon of demographic feminization. Think about all the things that wokeness means. Valuing empathy over rationality, safety over risk.
Where have I heard that before? Where have I heard that before?
It's funny. What's funny to me is like she uses the James. Do you remember James Damore?
Sort of.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, nobody else does. But I wrote this. Here, I'll post it up for. I'll give you the link here, and we can put it up.
Okay.
But I wrote this one. This was August 8th, 2017. It's called "The Feminine Imperative in Corporate Culture," which almost word for word is what she's talking about in there. I'll put it in I'll join the chat here real quick. Connect.
All right, I see it. There we go.
Now even the women are stealing our stuff. God damn it.
Yeah. But here I'll just share it. I'll just share the screen with you. I wrote about this in there we go. There you go. That's it right there. Wrote this in 2017 as a response to the James Damore case. The James Damore case was like they had Google employees had this internal like memo or internal newsletter that's only gets put around Google employees, right? And it was meant.
Oh yeah, now I remember. Yeah,
just sort of like if they had grievances or they just basically to further communication. James Damore started talking about how women had special privileges and it wasn't even all that aggravating. They fire him immediately because of this, right? Because and it's because he's working at Google, which is a very woke company, right? You say anything that goes against the narrative, you're going to get kicked out. So all the points that she was making about James Damore, I made these points and pretty much everything she's been talking about in 2017 in this post. And there's other ones that I've done too, but this is the most like on the nose for what she was talking about. And once again, let me see if I can. That's the link right there. So it's the feminine imperative in corporate culture is what it was. But it wasn't even all of that contentious, I don't think. But the fact that she'd even still use that as evidence of wokeness in corporate culture, whatever, and expect people to remember from 2017 who James Damore was. I'm wondering if she hasn't been reading a lot of my work, or she hasn't been reading at least maybe Ryan's work or somebody else's. I don't know, but you're right. The only people who get to talk about this are women, and once again, traditional conservative women. So you're going to tell me that the red pill is the flip side of feminism? Fuck you. Traditional conservatism is the flip side of feminism. Only women get to say that. Rolla Tomasi in the red pill, he doesn't get to say that. Helen Andrews, she gets to say that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's I wanted to bring that up for like the best thing to do, guys, is just move silently, shut up. Like if you don't make content, you just, hey, women are the ones talking. They're gonna talk themselves to death about what is right, and neither of them are gonna have your best interest at heart. None of them. Neither. No one. So it's just like the way you win in this society or in this gynocentric order is, the red pill. The red pill is what is telling men, hey, do this, do that, stay out of this, stay out of that, because honestly, this feminism is here to stay, and it's not going away anytime soon. No matter how much you debate, no matter how much you bitch and complain, and you throw money at groypers or whoever, or the America First girl that says, Minnesota fraud was bad. That she doesn't care about you. None of these people do, right? So, save your money, and I'm sure DCC, you got to tell this to guys all the time, Rolo, in the crypto community. Hey, dude, you worked hard for that money. I mean, it doesn't seem like it, but the capital to start doing crypto and all that risk you took, don't throw it away. It's for you. All that is for you, so you can maybe start a business or live a better life. These girls don't care about any of that stuff. So
hide your power level.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, gray man theory, where it's like you just blend in, play the game, and really we want to win. We don't care about being right. I mean, we want to be right, but they don't care about us being right. They'll fight us, and then they'll take our words straight out of our mouth and use it to talk to other people, and the people will clap, and they'll be like, "Wow, you're so smart." I'm like, "Yeah, that was some guy at 24 years old trying to approach women on the street that figured it out. Not you, Helen Andrews, or not you, whatever, or Joe Rogan or whatever. It was that kid that said, hey, I'm going to follow the mystery method and see what happens." And then he went on a forum and said, hey, guys, this worked. And guess what? That guy is me. That guy is Jack. That guy is Rolo. That guy is DCC. That guy is Apex. Just the guys in the arena that took the stuff. And then not only that, made a pretty little book out of it. Pretty little books and posts, and made it really easy for guys to just read it. Right? You didn't have to go on bodybuilding.com and go through 40 threads to find out, hey, my girlfriend cheated. What do I do? Now it's just like you have it there. And they'll fight it. They'll try to defund us. But at the end of the day, this is what it is. The red pill is not the answer to feminism. The red pill, well, it is, but it is not the flip side of feminism. It is sexual strategy and a set of observations so you can live a better life.
Yeah. Also, the red pill doesn't wish for a better playing field. Like, feminism is always like, oh my God, oppression, this and that. Red pill is very simple. Guys, this is the playing field. This is how you play. Have fun.
Yeah.
Like, stop change the playing field. It's not going to happen. Do not ask for a lighter load. Ask for stronger shoulders. Or in this case, train for them.
Yeah. I mean, this is something I always tell my guys, like, you don't escape work. Even if like you're retired, like everything in your life will become work.
Dude,
like oh man, I have to get up today. Oh my God, I have to get laundry. Oh my God, I have to go to the gym. Like, oh no, I have to do this. Oh no, I have to do, like, life is work. It's just depending on what you classify as work, basically.
Did you see that meme of that girl? Like, the guy puts his hand on this girl's head, and it's like flowers and shopping and all nice things. And then the girl puts her hand on her man's head, and she's like these Vietnam flashbacks and all the horror that's going on. And she's like,
oh yeah, the meme.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I never knew. He sits there smiling. Like, what? What's wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, feminism makes it easy to win. You just got to be smart. You just got to, take the red pill. Just, hey, figure out how to win and trade notes.
Do what
you'll be fine.
There's also this start, and look, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's very different, but what I am noticing, and maybe somebody else here has had this experience as well. Like, when you go to the West and even the Netherlands and especially America, it's like women got feminism. Like, women got jobs, women got their own money, and they're still like, I want a man to pay, and I want this and that and that. When you go here to the East, women get a job and everything like that. And you know what they do? They spoil their man. It's like, oh, feminism gave me a job. It gave me money. Now I can spend it all on the guy I like. Because they still have that, like, traditional sense of, like, not per se serving, but for lack of a better term, like,
they like men.
They like men, you know?
Yeah.
They still like men. And they use it to pamper him and everything. It's like, oh, you
why do you think they go to,
here you go. It's like,
yeah, okay. Why do you think they go to Colombia? Yeah, the Colombian women are hot, but it's because Colombian women like men. That's why.
That's the thing. They're nice. And I mean, Passport Bro is a meme, but can you blame? Why do you think it's a meme? Why do you think it's a meme? It's shaming men for wanting better. It's going to where they're treated best. Oh, you can't do that. You're leaving your country. You're leaving your duty. No, my country.
You're really doing that because you couldn't get a real woman here in the United States. Yeah.
I've seen real women in the United States. Thank you very much.
I'm good.
I'm good.
You just put up a picture of your girl, and then this feminism woman is like, tell me who's the real woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, women in America are violent now. Another end game of feminism was like now women are going up to men with guns and spitting in their face, and I'm like, oh, okay, see how that works out for you.
Female
they
cops,
think they're
please grab the taser. Please.
Yeah, I just saw a woman's hand get blown off by a flashbang. I'm like, even in Call of Duty, I don't do that.
Yeah.
That's something you just don't do.
Yeah.
Fuck around
So-
and find out.
It's funny,
Yeah,
is, like,
we're in the fuck around, find out phase of feminism. Yeah.
Steve Stewart Williams just like he's got this. Like I said, he's got this new book coming out in June. It's like gender differences. I think that's gonna like create a real fucking panic for women, but because it's already taking off in like sort of Evo psych circles right now. Because he's like if you follow him on Substack, he's already like giving you like sample chapters and stuff from the book, and one of those was about male violence. Which is funny because like, remember all those chicks who were talking about like how, men are lonely because, because if they tried being nicer, right. If they weren't so violent, if they weren't like, trying to turn us into sex slaves and housekeepers and stuff like that, then, maybe then like they wouldn't be lonely kind of thing. And every like sort of hate comment is this fear of, male aggression, male violence. And it's like, it's this idea, like their explanation for it is it's all social conditioning. It's all social constructionism. If we trained boys to be nicer, if we told them to cry on demand, if we made them into the perfect male is just female. It's just, if you can make him more like a chick, then he'd be better. But the thing is like, if you read like Steve Stewart Williams, when he's talking about like the evolution of violence in men, the reason why guys are violent is because women selected for violent men.
Yeah,
women fuck violent men. That's why we have 90% more upper body strength. We have like well over a 98% like biceps are our arms are longer. Our physical strength is different. We have our blood carries more oxygen. We're basically evolved for combat is what we are. And why are we evolved for combat? Because women played a role in reproducing guys who are evolved for combat, because that's what kept us going. So I'm not saying that, well, that's right or that's wrong. But the thing is like, deal with it. Like, men are violent. Yeah. Mostly with other guys, but that's part of the fucking game. And you wouldn't want it any other way. When we look at like I was telling you before, like the 50 Shades of Grey, right? Why that was such a popular book and a self-published book. It's because the guy seemingly, BDSM, he seemingly had a capacity for violence. He was not a good guy, dark triad personality traits. Why are those personality traits so fucking arousing for women? Because your sexy son's theory, you want a son that has those too, because that son has a better capacity for violence, has a better capacity to get what he wants. It's all about him. And that's what you need when you pair up with a guy like that. Women want dominant men. They just want them to be dominant with the people outside of both. Like it's Tarzan and Jane, right? You want Tarzan and you want him to just be, you want him to be violent, not with you, but everybody else. You want him to be violent because he can protect you and he can protect the offspring and he can protect the tribe, right? That's built into women's DNA. So like when you got these feminists who are still, they don't want to fuck the nice weesh guy with like, spaghetti arms. They want to fuck the guy who's built. To a degree. I'm not saying they want like a guy who's a super huge bodybuilder, but to a degree they want dangerous capacity who seems like he has a capacity for violence. And that's even, you can see that in facial features too. And so for women to say like, oh, well, but men are violent and they're oppressive and everything else. Like, yeah. And you wouldn't want it any other way. So when you meet a guy who is like that and he's not like that with you, there's nothing fucking sexier than that guy. Right. But that's a conversation that doesn't happen on Twitter.
Beauty and the Beast kind of shit.
That's such a great comment.
Or as old as time.
Love the Beast, not the Prince.
Yep.
Man would have smaller biceps.
That's such a good comment. That's such a good comment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence is one more made up bullshit term from
Yeah, it's not a thing.
There's no such thing as emotional intelligence.
I have to get rid of the pythons. I have to get rid of the pythons, you guys.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, I think we've said everything we needed to say. If you guys have any final thoughts, plug your stuff. We'll start with Apex.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks. It was nice chopping it up with you guys. It's been a while, right? Yeah, I mean, the only thing to plug really is just I have a community. It's free. You can get on there, have discussions, and get problem solved for you without having to be any cost to you, right? And I have a course that's on there that's also free about handling breakups and attachments, because that's usually a big reason why guys end up ruining their lives or taking themselves out of the gene pool. So that's something I offer that is a no cost service for you guys. And then as a cost service to you guys, I am dropping a course this week. So if you guys are interested in that and you want the invite to be able to sign up for it, that's going to be announced later this week. So link is somewhere. I think the link is I think you have to post it, Nuke, but to get into my
okay.
But
yeah, I posted everyone's channels too.
Yeah. Cool.
Got ahead of it. There we go.
All right.
All right.
Sweet.
Copy link address. Cool. All right. DCC, if you want to plug your stuff, final thoughts.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be having a show tomorrow, Charlie, called Moon Gang. It's our big crypto show. It's tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and pretty much we're just gonna be handling stuff inside the Citadel, which is our group there. And I'm finally starting to buy some crypto again. Basically, prices are getting kind of spicy. Solana is looking very, very juicy, as well as a couple other cryptos, basically. So we got a little bit more to go before we have a nice little pump up and then another drop down and stuff. So there's some good trading to be done right now.
All righty. Awesome.
There you go.
Rolo.
And just before he goes on, I'll be in the studio from 1 p.m. to about 4 p.m., 5 p.m. In the same studio. So I'll be at Red One tomorrow doing my show from 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm gonna get tomorrow's show. I'm gonna dig into along the lines of Helen Andrews, talking about how our we have a feminine primary social order, and I kind of wanted to get into kind of what I got into a little bit here today, with respect to how women are responding now to this wave of guys like Scott Galloway and this psychologist chick that was on Steve Bartlett I mentioned before, and what the pushback is, what the backlash is, I guess, from sort of really militant feminists, because they just want guys to die quicker. They just masculinity, right? So I'll probably be getting into that, but I'll be on with Kyle, who is Miguel's younger brother, who's part of my show now. But I'll be doing that. And then I've got my Reignite program with my guys from 35 to 65-year-old guys. And that is red pill for guys who've been zeroed out and are coming back from it. And got a corresponding book for that right now too, which is on Amazon. It's called Reignite. It's my 6th book in the Rational Male series. So you can check that out. And that's about it. But next week I'll host Rule Zero for you guys next week.
Awesome.
We'll try I know Cappy wants to do it. Miguel's on board. I threw it out at Mike while I was on Access Vegas last week, and he wants, if he can wake up in time to do it. He's usually
parties on Fridays
noon. Yeah. So yeah. But if he can, he says he wants to be involved in it too. So I'm going to open the door for anybody who wants to come on and just have, because we need a panel discussion. We need to talk about real red pill topics, because nobody else is doing it right now. I feel like I'm the only, you guys too, but I feel like we're all only people that are actually having conversations like this in a concrete, substantive way, as opposed to Andrew Tate. That's the only narrative that's getting pushed out there.
Looks maxing.
Yeah, enough people clavicular. Yeah, clavicular red pill. No, he's a 19-year-old punk, is what he is. So
it's time to talk about peptides, you guys. It's time to talk about
who I like
GLPs. GLPs.
I really do want to
know me.
But all right. Well, yeah, guys. Rolo's got Rule Zero. He's got a show tomorrow. Jack, plug in your stuff.
Okay, the link to my YouTube channel will be in the chat. We just passed 4,000 subscribers. Everybody, thank you very much. I did a takedown of Scott Galloway this past Monday, and coming Monday, I will be doing my commentary on Cole Hashtings about Gen Z's aging epidemic. Funnily enough, we mentioned that last week, that the Zoomers are obsessed with age. So I'm going to comment on that on Monday on 11 a.m. Central. And if you want more of my writing content, you could go to jacknapier.substack.com. The link to that will be in the chat as well. That's it.
All right, guys. Well, you guys just follow, like the video. I'll have a show tomorrow. I'll announce the topic tonight or in the morning. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
All right, guys.
Have a good morning.
Peace.
Bye.
See you guys.